Welcome to Reporters, bringing you in-depth France 24 reports from around the world. Today we're heading to the river border dividing Turkey and Greece, a stretch of countryside which has become a major attraction for immigrants hoping to make it into the European Union. But the journey is perilous and costly, and there are no guarantees of making it to the other side. Reporters Romeo Langlois and Estelle Vigoro went to meet some of the people who fled to this border from all around the world and discover firsthand how it feels to try and sneak into Fortress Europe. Here's their report.
The river Evros between Turkey and Greece. Migrants pile onto a boat. They're planning on entering Europe illegally under the cover of darkness. But an observation plane spots them first. And shortly before arriving in the Schengen area, Greek police arrest them. The river Evros is an area controlled by the military, and cameras are banned. Only a few Greek fishermen are allowed to navigate it. On the riverbank, there are still traces of the migrants.
Look here.
That's an inflatable dinghy which a group of Pakistanis tried to use to cross. It's badly damaged. They came through from there. They put the boat in the water and crossed into Greek territory. Look, this comes from Turkey. There was also a skull, but that disappeared. Yet another migrant dead.
The journey is often fraught with danger. For hundreds of migrants, the dream of reaching Europe is lost in the depths of the Evros.
They drown because they don't know how to swim. And many of those who know how to swim, they die anyway from a heart attack, just because it's too cold.
Until 2011, the Greek-Turkish border was considered the most vulnerable in Europe. Today, it's one of the most tightly controlled. On the other side of the border, Turkish authorities arrest some 20,000 illegal immigrants every year. They're detained in a former military barracks before being expelled from the country. Inevitably, the reinforcement of border controls has spawned mafia activity. In Turkey, business for people smugglers is thriving.
Just crossing the river costs $3,000, and up to Athens it can cost up to $10,000.
This local journalist is well versed in the methods used by people traffickers.
They don't treat migrants like human beings. Let me give you an example. On one occasion it was clear that the boat was going to sink and the migrants refused to embark. The smugglers hit them, they took their money and forced them to get on board. We learnt all that because we heard it on the police radio. Afterwards, several bodies were recovered from the river. The boat had sunk and a number of people had drowned.
The majority of people traffickers operate out of Istanbul. In a working-class part of town, France 24 contacted one of these men, a Kurd. We asked to cross the river Evros with a group of migrants. He took us to a cafe. At the table next door, a woman from Central Asia is negotiating her trip with another smuggler. The Kurd introduced us to one of his associates, an Afghan.
He's my friend. We were in prison together.
I'm well liked here. When people have problems, they come and see me.
He has a lot of power. Everybody goes to him. Here, he's kind of a local official. People arriving in Istanbul go to see him straight away.
The Afghan mafiosi controls a network of people smugglers between Central Asia and Europe. After negotiations, we agree a price, €2,000 to get into Greece via the Evros with permission to film the journey.
We'll look after you very well. Your safety, the crossing, all of that. Don't worry. I'll take care of everything.
Next stop, the suburbs of Istanbul. The traffickers introduce us to other people hoping to make the crossing. Unbeknown to them, the camera is recording the conversation. The Kurd doesn't want to lose the deal and warns us about his rivals, who bring immigrants into Greece via the Aegean Sea.
Sometimes they say, don't worry, you'll get there without any problems. They take their money and don't care whether their clients make the crossing or not. I saw it for myself once. They had packed 130 people into a boat built for only 40 people. 63 of them died. It was they who killed them. Look, they've cut off the electricity.
Tens of thousands of migrants live in Istanbul, many in extreme poverty, trying to earn enough to pay for their journey. KARIMA, an Afghan, fled from the violence of the Taliban with her 2 daughters. She finally arrived here 4 months after crossing Iran with a network of smugglers.
Wherever I go, I have problems because of my girls. Everywhere, in Afghanistan, in Iran, particularly with the police, and now here. People say hello, and at the same time they ask to marry my daughters. This one or that one, this one or that one. I have just one wish, for someone to help me reach Europe. In Europe there is safety, there's peace and freedom. I don't want my daughters to get married. I want them to be able to study. For myself, I want to go to hospital to get better.
Everyone in this room has already tried to cross the river Evros.
I've tried to illegally enter Europe 5 times. Each time, I got caught.
We leave the traffickers and are due to meet up with them again in several days for the river crossing. But in the end, the Afghans decided to delay the departure date. The migrants say they're tired of the false promises of the smugglers and of being systematically arrested by the Greeks.
The 3rd time, they promised me it would be okay. But I was caught yet again. I had to wait, pay a hotel. I lost everything I had, $6,000. Can you believe it?
The Greek police hit me.
They beat us up.
It's true, they did beat us up.
Tens of thousands of migrants like these find themselves trapped in Istanbul without money or work. Lax visa controls mean Turkey has become the main point of entry into the European Union. People arrive en masse from the Middle East, Asia or Africa, hoping to reach the Schengen area. The neighbourhood of Talabassi has a thriving African community. JWIANFI is from Ghana. His tourism visa has expired and he's now here illegally. An agricultural engineer by trade, he's been lucky enough to find menial work for now.
Yeah, we are suffering in Africa. We are suffering in Africa. That's why some people came here to find a road, to find a little chance to go to Europe. But if you arrive here, there's no way.
As Europe reinforces its borders, the smuggling networks are being forced further underground.
We work on the bush, work 4 days, 1 week before arrive Bulgaria. Because I arrive Bulgaria. If you arrive Bulgaria, it's the same thing. You are continuing the same thing to go to Serbia. After the Serbia, you continue. So that about some of them living here about 1 year, 6 months before they arrive Germany or France or wherever they want.
We're next to the bus stop. I will put the warning lights on. We will wait for you.
A week after our meeting, the traffickers contact us about the journey to Greece. We find ourselves in a rented van on our way to the border, alongside 5 Syrian refugees.
We just are afraid on our lives,
So we don't know. In any time you can be die. You know.
I will find after the river. I will find another life, another hope, another dream.
I'll call you in 1 hour, and I'll bring them to you.
The driver is a Turkish peasant from Evros.
Hey, you can't film this side.
He's paid a pittance by the heads of the network and risks a lengthy prison sentence. This isn't the first time the young Syrians have tried to cross the border.
The last time we cut the river after we going to Grace, so we're walking actually 4 hours. We're staying beside the road, between the trees, so we're waiting the car to take us to Athena. So it's not coming. It's not coming. We stay 2 days. We are freezing, hungry. So after that, we're going the road, and the police they catch us. We're going to the jail, and in the night, return back us to Turkey. This last time. I'm sorry about that.
In short, he was betrayed by the people traffickers. But they have no hard feelings for the Greeks, who officially are not allowed to deport Syrian refugees. After a 3-hour drive, the van stops in the depths of the countryside.
Go, go, go. Get out, get out.
Don't turn on any lights.
Take everything with you.
No problem.
A farmer appears from nowhere to guide the migrants across the countryside.
Go on, blow it up, blow it up.
The smugglers hand over a rubber dinghy. With a temperature of -2 degrees Celsius, chances of survival are slim if it sinks.
Can you swim, Peter?
A little bit.
Another half-hour walk to get to the Evros, in silence because of the Turkish army. On the opposite riverbank, the risk comes from the thermal cameras and infrared equipment of the Greek police.
You can cross there. Look, it's Greece. Come, I'll show you.
But his instructions only stretch to pointing out a vague route in the darkness, and the Syrians realise that no car is waiting for them on the Greek side, in spite of the promises by the smugglers. Paralysed by cold and fear, they decide to abandon the crossing.
It's very difficult. I'm freezing.
Their families won't pay the traffickers until they're safely in Greece. Everyone heads back to Istanbul without having even caught a glimpse of the Evros.
Well, I'm now joined by reporter Romeo Langlois, who brought us that film. Romeo, you saw and experienced some of what it's like to be an illegal immigrant. Describe how that feels.
Well, to begin with, when we got in touch with the smugglers, we introduced ourselves as journalists, and we were not treated like migrants, desperate migrants to enter the EU. But as soon as we were on board with the migrants and the smugglers to try and reach Greece, then we were treated exactly in the same way, and we felt that we were treated like animals, like goods, and we felt that our hands were in the hands of unscrupulous smugglers who belong to the mafia and can be very dangerous.
Now, the European Union is working to try and reinforce this border. How is it doing that?
It begins mainly through police measures. They are trying to dismantle the networks of human traffickers. There are permanent patrols along the most vulnerable borders, patrols which use dogs, infrared thermal cameras that make it possible to detect migrants even in the dark. And the EU has a policy of dealing with third-party countries. For example, a few days ago, an agreement was signed between Istanbul and Brussels. According to this agreement, illegal migrants who are arrested in Europe, who will come through Turkey, will be sent back to Turkey, and in return, Ankara has obtained more flexible visa policy for the EU.
Now, we saw in your report some of these migrants try repeatedly, time and time again, to cross the border, don't they?
Yes, they are people who come from war areas or people who are suffering from great poverty, so they're prepared to do anything to change their life and to see their European dream realized. So they have to go on an odyssey, and very many migrants are killed on the way. And as Europe reinforces its border controls, the networks of smugglers are developing and are opening up new paths. As the frontiers are becoming tighter, they are using more and more dangerous itineraries, notably the Evros River, which is the border between Turkey and Greece, is more and more difficult to cross. 4 people out of 5 don't manage to cross this river, this border. They're captured by Greek police, and trafficking in migrants has developed across the Aegean Sea, which is even more dangerous. And every week the Greek and Turkish authorities pick up dead and drowned migrants.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there, clearly some very important issues. So thanks very much, Romuald Langlois. You have been watching Reporters here on France 24. Do stay tuned.